What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bridging the Geekdoms. This is free talk where I kind of just sit down and talk about a couple things here and there. And you guys can ask questions if you'd like, or you don't have to. It's up to you. It doesn't matter to me. But yeah, just throw some stuffs there. Oh boy. All right. So what's going on? I know we didn't have a regular episode this week. Was kind of busy, had some things going on. I actually had to do an interview for Spoiler Country, which is a fantastic podcast. I encourage everybody to go check out Spoiler Country because it is probably one of the best podcasts that you may not have heard about yet. So go find it, Spoiler Country, or just head over to spoilerverse.com. Spoilerverse.com is a great place. You'll find articles, you'll find podcasts, and so much more. And here it is. This is Spoilerverse right here.com. Big things are coming for this website, this network. I can't wait. I'm happy to be a part of it. I know everybody who is part of it is excited to be a part of it. So some big things are coming. Make sure you check out spoilerverse.com for all of your Spoilerverse needs. There's that. Yeah. So how's everybody going? How's everybody doing? Oh, man, I'm just messing up all my words today. So I want to let the Facebook users know who are on there. Unless you go through the process of putting your account through StreamYard in some form or fashion, all I see is Facebook user pop up in my comments. So I don't know who you are for Facebook users. I know when I went and did it, I had to go through this like 2-3 step process to get my name to be able to pop up whenever I say something in a comment section for StreamYard. So just want to let you all know that, Facebook users, because I know I have a few of you out there who actually do comment through Facebook. But howdy, whoever said howdy. All right. So as you can probably see from the description and the featured image for this show today, I want to discuss the John Boyega stuff that came out just the other day in GQ magazine from the UK. I thought it was fascinating. I was kind of shocked that he said what he said, not because it shouldn't be said, but because of who he said it about. So we're going to get to that in a second, but I do want to also talk about some really exciting news because we've all been waiting. We've all been wanting to know when it's going to happen, and it's finally happening. The Mandalorian Season 2. This is the day. New episodes start streaming October 30th on Disney+. I cannot wait. The first season of The Mandalorian was fantastic. I did some in-depth reviews over on my other podcast, Shootin, Sith, which is going to be launching yet again next week with our first ever live episode via YouTube. So please make sure you find Shootin, Sith on YouTube. Subscribe to it. I have some guests lined up that are going to be on there. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be talking about the sequel trilogy and what it got right, what it got wrong, and what that Lucasfilm may be doing to move forward with Star Wars, what they're doing and what they could be doing. So I look forward to that show next week. So if you're a Star Wars fan, make sure you subscribe and check that out. It's going to be a monthly show. So please go subscribe to Shootin' the Sith on YouTube. Now, The Mandalorian is coming out, Season 2, October 30th. That's exciting. But there's some interesting rumors that fell this past week on Twitter via Grace Randolph. So I don't know if you're a fan of Grace Randolph or not. I know a lot of people are kind of iffy on what she says when it comes to scoops or information or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to just say this. She states that she heard that there have been some issues behind the scenes with The Mandalorian. Disney was not happy with the way a trailer turned out that they were supposed to release over the past week or two. So they kicked it back and are re-editing it to put out a new trailer. But supposedly there's behind the scenes issues that could see a major shift in the second half of Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Whether that's true or not, that's up to you to decide if you want to dig more into that. However, from my standpoint, the way I look at it is whether Grace is right 90% of the time, 100% of the time, 50% of the time, this would not be surprising. This whole concept and idea that it's not working, I should say, for you. But the thing that you need to remember or look at is it doesn't matter if Grace is right or wrong, because we are still getting the second season of Mandalorian. What matters in that whole concept and idea that there are issues comes down to this. What the hell is going on at Lucasfilm? Episode 7, there are reports of issues that happened with George Lucas and J.J. Abrams prior to that movie being released. Episode 9, they had issues with Colin Trevorrow. And then there was issues with J.J. Abrams. There were so many issues with J.J. Abrams that there's supposedly a J.J. Abrams cut of episode 9 out in the world, or not out in the world, but in a vault somewhere at Disney that people in the world are trying to get out. You have all the issues that happened with Gareth Edwards during Rogue One, where they had to reshoot most of that movie to take the war elements out that they initially wanted to have in. You then have everything that happened on Solo with Chris Lord and Phil Lord, Chris Miller, whatever it is, Lord and Miller, whatever they are. But you have those issues where Ron Howard had to come in and reshoot a large portion of that movie so it could release. You have Josh Trank being kicked off the Boba Fett movie that was supposed to come out. You have the issues that have occurred with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. You also have the possible issues with The Mandalorian. There is something going on at Lucasfilm. What is the most common denominator? Well, obviously, people want to sit there and blame Kathy Kennedy for everything that's been happening, that there's all these issues that are kind of blown out of proportion, possibly, or these really real issues that are out there that nobody is discussing and saying, hey, there are issues here, we need to fix them. Because it's still making money. They've still made billions of dollars with this property, with Kathy Kennedy at the helm of Lucasfilm. But could they have made more? If there was somebody else in charge besides Kathy Kennedy, could there have been more? And what's really interesting is it was episode 8, Rian Johnson is the only one that you don't hear had any sort of issues on set. And actually, to the contrary, everybody has stated how great it went. So what is the issue? Why were all these other filmmakers, why were there so many issues? Where's this problem coming from? And again, is it Kathy Kennedy? Is it something else? Is it somebody else? I don't know. I can't sit there and say. You could listen to Doomcock on YouTube, which I don't encourage you to do because it's just a whole bunch of bullshit that he spouts off. But you could listen to him because all he does is bitch and complain about Kathy Kennedy and how she is the reason that Star Wars has sucked for the better part of 10 years. Now, in my opinion, it hasn't sucked for the better part of 10 years. It's actually been rather exciting and enjoyable for those 10 years. We've gotten a lot of good content despite all the issues behind the scenes that have come out. Could it have been better? I think so, but I'm not going to sit there and say that it hasn't been enjoyable, or a large portion of it hasn't been enjoyable. It has been. So when you really sit down and think about it, it sucks that all this stuff is going on behind the scenes, especially with The Mandalorian, when you have two of the biggest names right now in the Star Wars creative force of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, who are the ones that are putting on this amazing show. To me, it's just, it baffles me, completely baffles me what could be going on there. I don't see how there could be a real issue when it comes down to those two being in charge, but maybe there is something. Maybe. As somebody alluded to the possibility of it being a showrunner or something that is going on with Mandalorian. Whatever. Let's just get this out. I'm hoping for a trailer within the next week or two, but we'll see. We'll see. We have a release date. That's good enough for me. I don't need to see a trailer because the nice thing about Disney Plus and the TV show aspect is when it drops, you're getting something new every single week. The nice thing about trailers when it comes to movies is you get a trailer 6-7 months prior to the movie coming out. It gives you a little taste. Then you get another trailer 3 months out. Nice little taste again. And then you get a whole bunch of TV spots the final month leading up to the release of a movie. A whole bunch of nice stuff. So that it's kind of a buildup. With a TV series like this, and this is why Netflix does what they do. They don't put out trailer after trailer after trailer for their shows that are coming out. Normally, they drop a trailer a month before the show drops. And I think it's a smart idea for Disney to kind of follow that same routine with Disney Plus and their shows there, because there's no need for a huge buildup for a TV show that is already, one, popular, and two, you're going to have that continued viewing audience week to week to week to week to week once it comes out. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to a trailer. Hopefully it comes out soon. Mandalorian season 2 coming out October 30th on Disney Plus. All right. Now I want to get to the meat and potatoes of this episode. I'm already 12 minutes in, and I wanted to try and keep this episode short to about 25 minutes or so. I want to talk about what John Boyega said this past week with GQ magazine over in the UK. Again, it's very surprising to me that he said this. Again, not because it shouldn't have been said, but because of it being said about Lucasfilm and Disney. He talked about him being cast because he's black, and that was it. Now sit there and you start to think about The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, and you start to realize, holy crap, what the hell was his character all about? Because he's not wrong. And I've said this even in my reviews on Shootin' Sith, when I talked about The Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens. Well, not so much The Force Awakens, but The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Finn was shortchanged. John Boyega's character, Finn, was shortchanged in those films completely. But let's get to this real quick, what he said. So he goes, you get yourself involved in projects and you're not necessarily going to like everything. But what I would say to Disney is do not bring out a black character. Market them to be much more important in the franchise than they are, and then have them pushed to the side. It's not good. I'll say it straight up. He's talking about himself here, about the character of Finn, the former stormtrooper who wielded a lightsaber in the first film before being somewhat nudged to the periphery. That is exactly it. I mean, if you really look at those movies, you just look at them, it was completely unfair to him and his character the way they promoted him in The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens went like this. The promotional stuff for it alluded to him being a Jedi. That first trailer, he wields a lightsaber, not once, but twice in that trailer. You don't even see Rey touch the lightsaber in the first trailer. And we are completely bamboozled when the movie comes out because Rey is the main protagonist and main protagonist and the one who becomes the Force user. JJ tried to rectify this. It looks like in The Rise of Skywalker, when he came back on board, he tried to rectify this because I think JJ truly had a plan and a vision for the characters he brought in on The Force Awakens. Now, don't get me wrong. John Boyega wasn't just talking about himself. He was talking about Kelly Marie Tran's Rose character as well. You see that she was brought in The Last Jedi. Didn't do too much. She had that small, pointless story arc. Regardless if you like The Last Jedi or not, that story arc with Rose and Finn is 100% pointless. There was no reason for it. That whole bit was just a waste of time, a waste of 45 minutes of film that they could have done a lot more with. Then, in The Rise of Skywalker, she has 20, 30 seconds worth of screen time? He's not wrong. He's just not wrong. And, I can't fault him for saying the stuff he says. So he goes on, like you guys knew what to do with Daisy Ridley, talking about Disney. You knew what to do with Adam Driver, he says. You knew what to do with these other people. But when it came to Kelly Marie Tran, when it came to John Boyega, you know fuck all. So what do you want me to say? What they want you to say is, I enjoyed being part of it. It was a great experience. No. I'll take that deal when it's a great experience. They gave all the nuance to Adam Driver, all the nuance to Daisy Ridley. Let's be honest. Daisy knows this. Adam knows this. Everybody knows. I'm not exposing anything. He's not wrong. Again, he is not wrong, because when it comes down to it, John Boyega, Kelly Marie Tran, and to a certain extent, Oscar Isaac were all brought into that series, that sequel trilogy, for diversity reasons. The Last Jedi is filled with it. 100%. That film is filled with, oh, we need to diversify. We need to have as many diverse characters as possible. You then see it again a little bit in the Rise of Skywalker. But these characters are brought in because they're like, oh, we need to make sure that the Black audience sees this, the Asian audience sees this, the Hispanic audience sees this. And the Rise of Skywalker, we need to make sure that the LGBTQ crowd sees this. That's what they did with these films. I am a diehard Star Wars fan. I love The Force Awakens. The Rise of Skywalker, I enjoy to a point. I understand why it is not as good as it could be. The Last Jedi, I enjoy to a certain point. I don't think it fits in the grand scheme of a 3-story arc like it does, or like it's sitting. But without a doubt, they focused more on diversifying Star Wars in these 3 movies than they should have. And that's not to say that you should not diversify films. No. What I'm saying is the intent was just to have the diversity in there. Fuck all to actually giving them arcs, for giving them story that matters. That's what I'm saying happened with Star Wars in the sequel trilogy. You know, people talk about Daisy Ridley, and recently she came out and talked about how since the Rise of Skywalker, she's been unable to get work. Now, yes, today actually, it was just announced that her and a couple other actresses got a film that's going to be coming out in a couple years. That's fine. Good for Daisy Ridley. She's got a film. Good job. Even though personally, I don't think she's a good actress in any way, shape, or form. I didn't think she was good at Star Wars. Anything that I've seen her in, which is not much because she hasn't been in much, because guess what? She's not a very good actress. She's just not good. So they focus on this character because woman, that is what they did with the sequel trilogy. Instead of saying, hey, what is the most logical way for this story to go? They went, well, we need to make the main protagonist a woman. Why? Because woman. Again, I'm not saying that you can't do that with movies. I'm not against that idea. I enjoy the arc that they gave Rey in The Force Awakens, and even to a lesser extent, The Last Jedi. Now, when you get to The Rise of Skywalker, it felt rushed. It didn't feel like it fit well, even though I predicted and wanted Palpatine to be her grandfather a couple of years prior to the Rise of Skywalker coming out. Toot my own horn there. But besides that, I honestly don't feel like her story was well fleshed out well enough. So when you get down to it, it's kind of like, all right, whatever. They brought in a character who is a woman, you know, and that's what they were going with. Diversify. When they started filling their supporting cast, they got John Boyega. They got Oscar Isaac. Again, 2 fantastic actors. I mean, Oscar Isaac, I think, is one of the most underrated actors that has ever graced our screens in the past. Well, not ever, but probably has graced our screens in the past 10, 15 years. He is completely underrated, and I think he needs to get more work. John Boyega, he is an absolute treat. And I really, really enjoyed his character in The Force Awakens because it seemed like they were building to something there. And that's what you have to go. When you look at The Force Awakens, you see these characters come on and you're like, oh, I think I know what they're doing here. I think I see they're building something. But when it came to The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, where'd that story go? Where'd that arc go? Finn was the same character at the end of The Last Jedi as he was at the end of the end of The Force Awakens. There's no character development in roughly 5 hours of film. So 5 hours same character essentially since The Force Awakens to the end of The Last Jedi. That's unacceptable. That just means you weren't paying attention to that character. Rose, same character at the beginning of episode 8 as she was at the end of episode 8, just more injured. I mean, honestly, there's no character development there. And then you look at episode 9 and there was no development there because she had 30 seconds of screen time. So Lucasfilm, John Boyega is completely right. Disney, John Boyega's completely right. Shame on you because you guys did not utilize these characters as you should have. It is very apparent, and I've been talking about it for quite some time, that the sequel trilogy became more about diversity than anything else. It's absurd. Absolutely absurd. So if you guys want to talk to me about that, find me over on Twitter at Shootin' a Sith, or at R. Slavinsky, Shootin' a Sith on Twitter. Make sure you follow my show, which is going to launch our first live episode next week, Shootin' a Sith on YouTube. It'll also be on Facebook and on Twitter. So make sure you follow me there. But interesting, my editor of the network, Mr. John Horsley, sent me this little article. And I did see this earlier, and it's actually something I should bring up right now because it's kind of relevant. So let me pull this up real quick. It's really interesting because, this whole thing with COVID going on right now, we know that different, studios and productions are getting back and getting underway. The big one that everybody's been talking about is the Batman. Well, today it was announced Robert Pattinson has COVID-19, halting the Batman production. It is said that he has tested positive for the coronavirus, causing filming of the Batman to be halted just days after the superhero drama resumed work at studios outside of London. Warner Brothers would not comment on any individual worker's health, sharing only this statement. A member of the Batman production has tested positive for COVID-19 and is isolating in accordance with the established protocols. Filming is temporarily paused. Vanity Fair, however, confirmed through a highly placed source that Pattinson was the individual who became sick. It's kind of scary if you think about it, because, I mean, you don't want anybody to get COVID. No one should be getting COVID at this point. It's kind of ridiculous. Whether you believe in all the conspiracies or not, it's kind of ridiculous that people are still getting COVID, and unfortunate. I'm kind of shocked that there weren't better precautions put in place and different things put in place for this production to move forward. You take a look at what the NHL's done, what the NBA has done, what the MLB has been doing. All these sports leagues, they have some pretty damn good regulations when it comes to COVID. You would think that they could do something similar when it comes to filming, because you can easily isolate and quarantine the production team on a film. I just don't see how this could happen. You'd think that since they just got started back to filming not too long ago, that they would easily be able to test and then say, hey, you're tested, stay in quarantine until we get the test back. It's shocking to me. And it's shame on Warner Brothers for not putting better procedures up for this. Or maybe it's just something that happened. Maybe they have been doing perfect procedures, and who knows. But get well, Robert Pattinson, or whomever it is on the production of the Batman. Take your time getting better. The Batman can wait. The release can get pushed back again if need be. We just need people to get better from it and move forward from this whole COVID mess, because it has taken so much from us in the year 2020. We don't want it to take any more from 2020. We surely don't want it to take anything from us in 2021, because we have a lot to look forward to next year. We really do. But seeing as I only have one person watching, what's up, you one person over in the Spoilerverse? Thanks for watching. I want to, thanks everybody for tuning in, who did tune in. If you're tuning in after the fact, make sure you subscribe. Smash that subscribe button down there, because 2 episodes a week roughly. We get one full episode and then one free talk a week. out on the channel. I want to make sure everybody who wants to listen in can listen in and join in at any time in the comments. I'm always looking for guests to have on the show. Hopefully soon I'll get some more people on here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Actually, not listening, watching, because you're watching and you're listening also. But remember, Free Talk is only available on YouTube, whereas the Bridging to Geekdom show, the main show, is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, as well as spoilerverse.com. But with that all said, thanks for watching, and I will talk at you next week.